Hi everyone, Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper. I'm back with a follow-up video. 1 month, well, 1 month and a few days since I wrapped up my 30-day series about buying and moving into my reseller warehouse. So this is kind of the promised 1 month post-move-in video to kind of show you guys all the progress. Now the reason why I'm filming this video and I'm tagging it in this playlist is because many people, and I read your comments and I tried to respond to every one of them, many people watched pieces, maybe not all 30 days, but you watched pieces of that series and you got to see the progress from moving from my old warehouse that was 2,000 square feet to moving into this building, which is 5,000 square feet. You got to see the whole process from closing day all the way through, moving trucks, the whole deal. And so I wanted to show you guys the progress because some of you were kind of invested, at least in terms of the watch hours that you did on that series. I wanted to kind of give you an update. So what I do is I sell scouting memorabilia. That has been sort of my childhood passion, being a scout, and I started collecting patches. I just never got out of it, unlike all my friends who went on to have other hobbies and such. I never really grew out of it. And so when eBay came around, I got on eBay in November of 1998. It was always a way to buy things for my collection because I've always been a collector. But eventually in collections, you buy things because you need a few pieces. What are you going to do with the rest? So I would be able to turn those around and really just invest the money back into my collection, trying to grow my collection, grow my collection. After all, I was a school teacher. We all know that doesn't pay a whole lot of money. And so for over a dozen years, I was a public school teacher, a middle school social studies teacher, and coach. You got to get all the extra gigs you can when you're a teacher. And so that's what I did for a long time until about, now it's been 15, 16 years ago, I went full-time in this reselling gig, and that's what I've been doing. I'm based in Charlotte, North Carolina. For about 7 years, I rented warehouse space here in Charlotte, and then finally I had saved up enough money to buy my own building, and that's what we're touring today after the move, is the building that I bought here in Charlotte. So what I'm going to try to do today is a little bit of a blend. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off very well, but you know, work with me guys. I'm going to film this as if two things are true at the same time. As if some people have never seen the building before, have no clue, you just stumbled across this video. So, you know, kind of give you a little more backstory. But then also try to point out to people who are already vested, already watched the series, already know a lot about this, and don't need to hear the same stories, but are kind of curious to see what are the updates. Because I know when I left off on day 30, I was saying, well, we're working on this and this is next, and we never got to, you know, so I want to let you guys see where we finished up. So that's what we're gonna do. Kind of a funny story before we start the tour. I've been watching, I watch a lot of YouTube's reseller content, and there's an interesting podcast, won't call anybody out, but I saw a guy, he made a comment in his, he's a whatnot seller. He said, don't sell what you love. Don't sell what you love. And I think his opinion is that he is sort of a pallet seller who is not in love with anything he buys, and he doesn't think you should be in love with anything you buy. But I hope that you, when you go through this warehouse and see what I'm doing here, you'll know that the only reason that I'm doing this is because I love the things that I'm selling. And so I may be a total unicorn in this reselling space, that I only sell one tiny niche of scouting memorabilia, and I'm super, super passionate about it. I eat, live, and breathe it, sometimes to my wife's chagrin, but she's an angel, so we won't go in there. All right, guys, let's start the tour. I had to kind of start with this because I've had this be a part of some of the stuff, these plants that we kind of repotted and saved. My employee Shannon helped me with this a lot. Some of them are perking up, some of them I'm not quite so sure. I did just squeeze them down to this one spot. We had them kind of spread out on two different places, but this light, we're facing out on US 74, busy highway there, and the sun sets directly over there, so I get a lot of late afternoon sunshine coming in these windows, so I think that these plants are gonna like that just well. Now, as we start this tour, let me just give a disclaimer. I'm gonna show you guys all of the warts, except I'm not gonna take you into the bathrooms because this is not my mom inspecting my college apartment, right? So you don't have to go to the bathrooms. But I did have our longtime house cleaner come over yesterday, and she took a look at things to kind of give me a price on what they would charge to come over, maybe about every 3 weeks, and kind of do a little clean job in here to help us keep it clean. So I do want it to be a nice place for myself and for my employees to come to work. and hopefully you'll kind of get that vibe as we go through here. So you're going to see some warts, and there are a lot of projects that are underway, unfulfilled, still in progress. And so I'm not apologizing for any of that. It's 1 month out, but we are not done. So here we go. All right, let's start over here. Here is some shipping ready to go out from my Whatnot show. We have a good mail carrier that we finally have figured out his rhythm, and hopefully we will have a good luck with when he's out getting our substitute carrier to come in. I'm not sure this is the final way this is going to look, but this is like version 1.0, and please discount these bar stools. My super nice neighbor that I made friends with next door, she brought these from her family's beach house. They decided they didn't need them anymore, and she knew that I was doing some projects and such, and so she said, you might want these. And I'm like, oh yeah, these are nice, they're cool. They're not going to stay here, that's okay, but for right now we've got them here. I think I'll show you maybe in a few minutes where they're going to go in our new break room. But this couch came from our house. I had it at my old warehouse. This is actually a gigantic coffee table. And check this out. It's all Boys Life covers. I got this from a collector named Chris Jensen. He didn't make this, but Chris buys collections, and he got this collection in where a guy collected Boys Life magazines. And so a guy built this to hold his Boys Life magazine collection. I had it in my old warehouse. I stood it up and I used it as kind of like a library type space for books, but now I have this space available. It's kind of a coffee table. So again, this is not how all this is going to look. I'm not even sure we're going to keep that countertop, but I do think that this space will kind of be a welcoming space for people who come to see me, for people who come to potentially sell me collections or just kind of come see things. But it's still right now just kind of a work in progress. So shelves we're working on there. Same thing is true on this side of the opening. Again, this is all the lumber that I brought from my old building, and we're trying to work that in and figure out where it's going to go. Let's start on this side, and we will kind of make our way around. I know I've had some people comment on my sagging shelves, and I have listened. So one of the projects that's going to happen probably in the next month is we are going to replace these boards. If any of you who watched the series, you'll know that I had a little nightmare at Lowe's where I went and bought some wood, and I had the guy at Lowe's cut it for me without me standing there watching him. And so he cut it wrong. And so in order to save it, what we did was we trimmed it down, and these sections are 4 feet wide. But since they do not connect in the middle, they have a really bad sag on them. Now, me being a Boy Scout, I can't throw anything away. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace this wood and reuse these pieces in the back. And we have a different system I'll show you later that's going to work just fine for those pieces. What are we going to replace it with? Of course, super solid 3/4 inch plywood. Very expensive, but this is what I'm going to go with because I have no problems here. So we're going to swap this out and make that look nice and tight. That'll be another day's project. All right. Again, here's a spot where some of you who have watched this series are very familiar with what you're looking at, and others maybe not as much. But here's kind of the update for you. So we have got all 4 of the workstations completely set up and running. We've gone on Amazon. I measured all this out when Julie's husband built these cabinets for us in this hutch. All of these, of course, I haven't put anything in this one. This is kind of the 4th unit that doesn't get used as much, although I've had to use it because my computer is kind of on the fritz. Over here, still kind of setting this up a little bit. If you watch the video series, I call this my Temu shelf. I originally thought this would be what my whole warehouse would be full of because I found this shelf on Temu for a little over $100. But it also weighed in the package over 100 pounds. It was 111 pounds, and it was a monster. And I was like, oh no, I can't do this. I couldn't even move it. It was so heavy. But you know, because it matches the black, we have black underneath the table, and we have black hutches. I love it here. It's going to be a good spot. We have one of our networked printers here, of course, our internet connection. And I'm still kind of tweaking with the sound system, although my Bose box is awesome, and we jam out to that all the time. So again, workstations here as well, and on the end we dragged one of our old tables from the office, put it on casters so it rolls, but it's kind of living here, and that gives us a little extra room to lay out orders and sort things out. So this is kind of like the main workstations where everything happens. What I love about this is, you know, everybody has everything they need to ship, to photograph. Everything's all in one place, so it really makes our processes very clean. and I'll show you a few more things about our processes. We won't go in here too much. There's this little tiny room, and this is now my office. It's not completely set up. I've got some things on the floor over here that I'm trying to figure out. I've got some records that I need to get into that cabinet today. But I wanted to show it to you guys because the lighting is all done. Got these floods there, got everything else set up. That's my computer that's kind of on the fritz right now, but you know, we're working on it. But again, one reason why this works really well is because I keep this door open and I can just talk. Literally, I mean, I guess we kind of holler at each other, but we can kind of talk back and forth. If my folks have any questions, they can ask me and we can kind of communicate back and forth. All right, let's come back over here and we'll show you the mess. All right. Now, I had been putting off making this video for quite a while because we were making so much progress, but it was like, you know, we'd get progress for 2 days and then there'd be several days without any progress. So I wanted to kind of stop and say, here we are. You can kind of see what's going on. What I did was, very first thing I did was I paid an electrician to redo all the lighting in the whole building. And you can see that there is a row of lights here, and then there is a space in the middle here and a row of lights here. Now in the original drawings, when I was drawing this up, there could have been an aisle of shelves right here in this middle, but I pretty early on decided that when you walk through this door, just to kind of give you that perspective, when you walk through this door, I want your line of sight to see all the way to the end wall, and not only just for the optics of it, because it makes the room look bigger, but also because we have these tables. They're a little catawonky now because all of this stuff right here is in a collection that I just brought back from Virginia a few weeks ago. So we have to process this collection. These things on top are things that I was working on, collections I opened and I'm working on. Kind of fun here, check this out. I got this in a collection. This is a 1930s Boy Scout knife, and you can see how rough it looks. This axe came from another guy. If he watches this video, I think he'll recognize that I have his axe here. But I'm going to send these off to a guy in Nebraska who will actually make these look wonderful and perfect for me. I already communicated with him, and those are going to go in the mail today. So again, you kind of look down this row here. We have our live inventory on this side, and then all of this is stuff that we're processing. So let me come back over here and talk about these shelves. Lori and Brad, who's just volunteering out of the goodness of his heart, doing his good turn every day, they worked on this week and got us almost done on this set of shelving. So you can kind of see the system here. This is kind of like ready to go. These are done except for the top row of shelves right here. So this is looking really, really good. What I will do is these rows right here, the reason why they're so narrow, and I know some people in comments left a good comment. They said, why didn't you use metal shelves? One of the things about what we do is we have these skinny, narrow boxes because we have so many patches. So we need kind of a different type of shelf, a really, really shallow shelf that most metal shelves couldn't provide us. And so that's why it's very, very custom made. So that's why we have these sort of skinny shelves. But then starting here, these are about, I think Lori built these are about 18 inches, 16 inches from top to bottom, and a little bit more room on the bottom. So that's where we're going to put like bigger tubs. So all these tubs that you see here on the floor, things that are kind of half sorted or we're working on, those are all going to migrate over here on this shelving, and that's what will happen here. So they've got this one set of shelves almost completely done. We're kind of running a little low on lumber. Going to have to make another trip to get stuff. So, all right, you can see this jig that Lori has built here where she's kind of got it set up where they can just drop the boards in and build it. This is kind of what, you know, to her, someone who really, really is good at carpentry, she understands how to do this and get this knocked out. So that's super cool. Over here, we have a bunch of boxes of books that I'm struggling to find out what I want to do with them. Some of them are going to end up in my antique mall. Some I'm going to put on consignment with some other sellers and try to move those. But those are all books. A lot of these I brought home from that Virginia Beach collection that I picked up. This is our paper cutter. We are going to get this fixed. I've got a contact to reach out to. Right now it doesn't cut, but this is sort of a hydraulic press with a big blade, and so it allows us to cut paper and stuff. It's actually very handy. I love that. I got it from a church. I got so many electrical plug things. It's like ridiculous. Some of these were the old ones, but we bought new ones for the back wall, so I just have a whole mountain of those. This room is completely finished. I don't know, in some of the other videos we saw it kind of halfway finished, but this is Best Hobby Pages. This is a product that I sell. It's a plastic polypropylene archival plastic album page system. I get these made from the manufacturer. I think if you are in that reseller space, you know, this isn't quite white label because I'm the only one who makes these. So this is my own branded item that we sell on a Shopify store called Best Hobby Pages. You can go there and check it out. This is our active, this is where we pull things and we create the orders and pack them all here. So this is kind of one room for that whole operation of Best Hobby Pages, which is kind of adjacent to our main thing of the scouting memorabilia. All right, I'm going to take you back to a couple rooms. We're going to skip this one and come back to it in just a second. Let me show you this board here that I have to give Holly a lot of credit for. So Holly is a recent college graduate in business, and so she has this sort of mindset of like processes, and she really helped us get some of this nailed down. So what we've done is we've created this card system so that when we have a box of memorabilia that needs to get listed, we can go on the card, and it has all the little check boxes where we can write notes, we can number the boxes, and it kind of shows these boxes going through their life cycle. This is, again, those of you who are resellers will recognize you need to have solid processes, and this is how we kind of keep everything organized. We know what's happening, and then these are the finished ones. If I draw back over here, you'll see that many of these boxes are numbered. And you can see here, that's kind of how this system works, is we have these boxes numbered. Each of those cards matches up with the box number, and that's how we know what's in there. And really the instructions, I'm kind of the one who's got the, you know, expertise on the Boy Scout stuff. But as far as getting things listed, my employees are really, really good at that. All right, this is a big, big improvement from what anyone who had watched the previous videos would have seen. Every video you ever saw, this whole room was filled with boxes, and it was kind of cray-cray. Now, I realize that when you look at this and see these metal shelves here, you're like, oh, that doesn't look very straight and organized, Jason. You shouldn't be too braggy. But I just this week got all of these metal shelves all fixed. If you've ever dealt with these shelves, you'll know that taking them apart and then having to put them all back together where they're nice and steady and even on the same level, that is a real pain in the ass. And so I finally got all these done. These will end up, I think now I've decided, in the other back room that we'll see at the very end of this tour. And these will hold, kind of the idea here, I'm going to show you a little bit, is when we process in collections, we have these containers that are already labeled. And so, for example, metal coins and tokens, when we get some metal coins and tokens, we just chuck them in there. And this one's patrol patches. So all of this will kind of line a wall, and we'll be able to organize things very quickly. Now, again, if I pan back, this whole room here is going to be my museum space. And I realize in scouting memorabilia, calling something a museum is a little bit of a loaded comment. So maybe I should call it my display area, because it's not a true museum. You know, there's actual people who go to college to work for museums, right? But I'll have this whole giant wall will be where I can hang all my memorabilia. My idea here in the middle row is to have display cases and other like drawers and stuff to kind of hold my collection. And on the top, I'll have glass display case with all the stuff. So again, just kind of use this space, which really in a way is kind of a hallway, because you have the bathrooms here, the two rooms I'm going to show you. So it's kind of like a super wide hallway, although I'm sure the businesses who've occupied this space over different years have used it for lots of different ways. But that's what I want it to be, is a place where I can bring people to when they come to visit me, and we can kind of sit here and, you know, talk about scouting history and show them things they're interested in. Again, we will skip the bathrooms. Don't want to show you all that. All right, let's go in this room. I got to turn some lights on. So I have talked about this as being my streaming room, and it's still a little bit in progress. I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but every one of these boxes that you see is a collection that I have purchased that I have not yet unboxed, that still awaits unboxing. I buy several collections like this every week, mostly from people who find me on the internet through my newsletter or my website or my YouTube videos. And anyways, we usually talk on the phone, negotiate a price. People will mail the stuff to me. And so all of these are little boxes that have arrived in my UPS store and I picked up. And so there might be 50 of them right now in this room that I need to unbox. And so I'm actually really strongly considering doing a 30-day challenge similar to my move-in. That'll be a 30-day unboxing challenge to help attack this. And I'll do 30 unboxing videos in 30 days. So that's pretty ambitious, but I know it can be done. So let me turn this around. This room is kind of a weird, like a long, skinny room. And so I decided to make this my streaming room, because when I do these unboxing videos and other things that I try to do online, my Whatnot show, for example, check out SanteeSwapper on Whatnot Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. So this desk I've featured in some of my other videos. I got it refinished by my friends next door. I already mentioned the Carolina Fine Furnishings people. It's on casters, so it rolls around. So essentially what will happen is, maybe I can make this happen while you guys are in here, is this desk, I will set it up where I have a backdrop there. I'll have the camera set up here. Let me point this out in case my friend Paul ever watches this. My friend Paul Gowder, go check him out. He's got a YouTube channel and a whole community on Circle. He recommended this camera to me because I told him I was having problems where if I held something up to camera, my camera was like auto-focusing. It was getting kind of a bad look. And so I bought that off Amazon using his affiliate link yesterday. Gave him some affiliate love. But anyways, this will be the streaming room. So we'll have this wall here that I'll set up with backdrop, and I'll have everything going on. This is where I'll do all my unboxings. Now, this was something that just happened a couple of days ago. The electricians came, and this was another thing that Paul tuned me in on. Let me see if I can tone these lights down. So Paul told me, and I didn't know this, but we put up this track lighting. I didn't realize that literally there are bulbs. I'm sure you guys know this, and you're gonna be like, duh, Jason. There are bulbs that have the ability to connect to your phone through Bluetooth, and they are programmable. And so these bulbs, you can actually change the color, make them any color of the rainbow, and all of them are independent of each other. And so what I wanted to do here was kind of have the ability with the backdrop to kind of have some interesting light. So let me play with this and just turn this off. Hopefully I'm not going to freak any of you out now with this like green gremlin color here. But you have seen people set up for streaming where they have interesting colors and stuff. So I wanted to be able to play with that and kind of make that work. So we'll see what I end up doing as far as that. This is still kind of a thing that is, in the experimentation zone. We do have a internet guy is going to come back out and make sure the internet works good here, because obviously this room being kind of at the back of the building, if the internet isn't good here, we won't have any capability. But that is going to be fixed, and I will probably do the whole 30-day challenge from this desk. And it's not very far to walk, just to take them from right here and unbox them right here. That's the plan. All right, another big improvement is through this door. Okay. Again, credit to Lori who designed this, and Brad did a lot of helping her with this. This is kind of my collection room. That's what I'm going to call this. And so everything in here is really not designed to be sold. Now, again, this goes back to where I started this video, where the guy said, don't sell anything you love. Well, I got to tell you, man, if you are a collector, this is the dream, to have a room. Now, this would almost be the size of a bedroom, so we're not talking about a huge amount of space here, but this is about the size of a bedroom, and this is my collection, which, again, some of this will end up behind us on the walls, and some of it will, sort of stay here. But in these totes down here, I have stuff that I've collected for a long time. Of course, some of it's labeled, some of it's not, but got all this stuff on here. There's frames in these totes here. These boxes are kind of awaiting going into frames. And then some of this stuff over here is not so much collection stuff. There's just extra stuff here. Some of this stuff up here is historical stuff where I have like old newsletters and things like that. But I even have things like this, like my old Dungeons and Dragons stuff that I've held on to for all these years. And then if you look back over here, I've actually got a couple of boxes of comic books. For many, many years, I was a big comic book collector when I was a kid, and those are the only two short boxes I still have left with some good Wolverine and other Marvel characters and Batman stuff that I really enjoyed collecting. But that's kind of, just something I want to hold on to. These are frames that used to hang in my other warehouse, and they have patches in them. You probably can't see them too well there, but Lori built these, and these are movable. If you're kind of wondering what's the design here, why, you can see they have casters on the bottom. So two things are happening. One is we have a door here that swings very wide. But the other reason why all of this needs to be on casters is because that is the roof access for this side of the building. And so we need to be able to get to the roof. So this on casters and this on casters can both slide out and if need be, slide into the hallway to give us free access right here. Otherwise that door stays locked and nobody has to mess around with it. But anyways, got this all here and got a lock on the door so I can keep this secure. So I'm real happy with how this turned out. I've got a little bit of room for a few more things and I'm sure I'll fill it up soon. But anyways, that's the collection room. So, all right, let's walk around and we're going to see some real progress in the, I won't say the final room, but the next room here. All right. So all through the process, all through those videos you watched, here's what you finally get to see. Dun, dun, dun. Oh man. Okay. This is the crown jewel. Maybe it's not that impressive, I know, but if you had seen what it started off as, you would understand. I probably can't put a split screen here and show you an original picture, but all of this has only been finished really in the last week. And so I finally got my longtime contractor guy to come. We went to Lowe's and bought these cabinets. We got the countertop, got the sink, and got it all installed. He helped me hang the shelving, and Julie and her family donated this old fridge that they had, which actually is a really nice fridge. It's just, 20 years old, but it works great. Let me show you because I'm excited about this. It has water and it has ice. Look at all that ice. So it feels very bougie of me to have a break room that has ice and filtered water, of course, food and all that. So real happy about this. I've been in the habit for a long time now. Let's turn the video down. I've been in the habit for a long time now of coming to work early in the morning after going to the gym, and I'll make my breakfast here and make my coffee. So it was always kind of important to me to have a place where we could wash dishes and all that. And thanks to my electrician, we now have, oops, gotta move the trash can. We have a little hand water heater. So as long as I don't put this on full blast, if I put it right about there, just a normal flow of water, it heats up. Can't show hot water on a video, but we have hot water here, so that's really nice. Again, we'll show you the bathroom. These are still not going to stay here. I probably said that several times now. These are not going to stay here. We put them together because they came from the old building. But what I think will happen here, I'm going to talk to my guy today or tomorrow if he comes. We're going to probably put down some LPV here and kind of just cover over this old floor that extends into the bathroom. This is the only part of the whole building that has this kind of a super old tile stuff, and I think the easiest thing to do is just go over top of it, and that'll be an easy fix. So again, I don't think any of this will be here. What my plan is to put a little round high top table here, and that's where I think those 4 swivel chair seats can go in here and kind of be a little table for the break room in case anyone wants to heat up their food, eat here rather than taking it inside. I think that's what will go in here. I don't think we have so much space in this building, we don't need to junk up things with all this. So that may be what happens there. All right, I said I'm going to show you the warts and all. So I've shown you what I've described as sort of my crown jewel, the thing I'm really proud about that we've done since the last 30 days is over. Here's what I'm not so proud about. We still have our U-Haul mountain money truck or whatever we called it from the first video. So all of this is the stuff that was in the back of my warehouse. And so all of this is still not tackled. But, oh, let me show you this too. So the plumbers had to obviously get to the back, through, get all the piping and stuff done. And then my guy just finished this week, like literally yesterday, 2 days ago, patching the drywall and getting it all ready to go. So I do have some painting to do in here. But all of this stuff, it's going to go somewhere on the other side. Very little of this is going to stay in this room. So some of this is going to be at a bit of a purge where I have like a lot of empty totes or hangers or just all kinds of all stuff. This is everything that's still kind of hanging out in here. And so there'll be a process, like when it leaves this door, it's either going to go on a shelf, the ones that Lori and Brad are building in the main room, and it's going to be something we're actively going to try to be listing and getting on, or it's going to go in the collection room, or something's going to happen to it. But it's not just going to hang out. That's kind of the idea, is to kind of make this be the purge, which a lot of people would say, you should have done that before you moved, but we just didn't get there. There's things like books. I have a bunch of reference books that I'll get set up. But then we've been buying collections. So literally, like, look here, we've got a whole tub full of stuff here from buying collections. This one's full of neckerchiefs and stuff in there. So, but there are empty boxes. I mean, it's just a real mix. This is kind of everything that was left over from the move. So this is still a big project. What I hope to do in this room is to make it a lot less bare bones, a lot less stuff in here. We will build some shelving in here according to where the lighting is. We'll have a sorting table over here. I'll show you that in a minute. But my goal is to really reduce the stuff that's in this room so this room can kind of be open, because if I look through that door there, that door, which I'll show you because I'm going to show you all the warts, that leads out to our loading dock. And it would make sense that if I got a big collection, maybe one that I had to, rent a U-Haul or a Ryder truck or something, that I would back up to my loading dock and load it in here. And this could be kind of where a big collection comes in, and then we have time to process it and stuff. So the idea is kind of like everything on that side of the wall that would be in the main building, the main room, that's all stuff we're actively working on. And this might be stuff that's a little bit more, a sort of temporary warehouse. Like this might be kind of my storage unit, for lack of a better word. But again, it's going to look a lot better than this. We have not made any progress on that. All right, this room here is just right now kind of the junk room. We've been, using it for cutting and stuff and doing stuff. This again is the sorting table. This was in one of the videos, but this is the table that a guy named Ken Johnson made for me back when I lived in Eastern North Carolina. So that table will live in that room, and that's where those metal shelves are going to go. And again, that's the idea of a sorting table, where we get a collection, we open a box. We're just going to put things in little tubs and totes and try to sort it out. Of course, a lot of paint and stuff. So we got some work to do here, but this room is not super mission critical. On the other side of that door is the storage for the collection storage. All right, last thing I'm going to show you, coming out my bag, my little parking area here. So one thing that Brad has volunteered to do, I'll swing around and show you guys. If you've seen in a previous video, this is my loading dock, and I guess over the years, when enough trucks back into the loading dock, they bust the bricks up. And so Brad bought a bag of mortar, and he's volunteered to come in here and put mortar here and just fix this broken, busted bricks, which is very, very nice and generous of him. I'm looking forward to seeing that, because this, not so much that I'm going to have a lot of deliveries. We kind of talked about this. I'm not really, planning on having a lot of deliveries, but it looked so bad, and it probably was a little bit of a hazard in that somebody, could have just sort of tripped and fallen off there, which is a bad thing. So coming to the back, I've been parking my little minivan back here. It's a good spot. I got a camera, so I'm not too worried about anybody eyeballing it. But let me show you this. This has been kind of a little fun side topic. I don't know that I mentioned this in any of the videos, but immediately behind my building is this patch of scraggly stuff. And then on the other side of that, there is a storage unit business. And so when I first moved in, I thought to myself, well, gosh, am I gonna have to like mow this? Like, I'm just kind of thinking about to keep the neighbors happy. What is my responsibility? Well, I don't have to worry too much about keeping the neighbors happy. This is an Amazon return store right here. They have all kinds of stuff going in the dumpster every day. The next building over is right now it's like a ATV rental kind of place, but it's up for sale. It's going to be sold soon. And the next building sticking out over there is sold. Well, I'll say sold. It's under contract. They're going to close by the end of the month, and that, I think, guys, believe it or not, is going to be an escape room. That'll be kind of fun. There'll be an escape room 2 buildings down from me. Over here we have cabinet people and people who work on cabinetry and stuff. This is Chrissy, I've told you about, who's helped me out. So what happens to this right here? Well, I had a guy come who his business is sort of backyard gardening, ecology and stuff. And we walked through this, and he was like telling me which plant is which, and this is a good plant, this is an invasive plant, you don't want that. Like, these are wax myrtles, and those are black gums, and that's probably a Virginia pine. And for example, he was telling me this is a good plant. This is kind of a boxy shaped bark, but this is kind of something in the mint family. And he thought, oh, that's a good plant, we ought to save that. A lot of honeysuckle on the ground. But we have really played with the idea. This might happen after I kind of, catch my breath on spending so much damn money on this building. We've really played with the idea of coming in here and just kind of leveling this scraggly underbrush and turning this into an urban garden. Now, I have a water spigot on the back of my building And there also is easily the ability to get a rain barrel going because I have so much slope. He wasn't too keen on the rain barrel idea because he thinks that you want to have a drip irrigation system to keep anything watered. And so he doesn't think the rain barrel would have enough pressure to really pull that off. But we could run a hose over here from my spigot, connect it, and in about 30 minutes run it through the drip irrigation every day and take care of that. It's a little bit time intensive, and you saw all the projects on the inside. It's already March. It's already getting a little warm in the Carolinas. So this cannot be a 2026 project, but you can see the sun. Whoa, blinding. This area gets lots and lots of sun. Again, the sun sets immediately over there. So this space just gets tons and tons of sunshine, unlike my backyard in Charlotte, which has beautiful trees, but also lots and lots of shade. So my backyard garden does not pan out too well. So what my idea is, I've talked to Shannon about it, who's has a real green thumb. This eco guy is supposed to send me a report and give me some ideas, but basically talked about going in here and layering it with wood chips and some other stuff to kind of get the soil built up and kind of get this ready for maybe planting next year. And what that looks like is still TBD. This is kind of like I guess the edge of the property line here where they put down this board. There's actually some blackberries in there. He also thought that was a bad idea to keep those because they have these really bad thorns. That's blackberry right there. But what would we do here? We've talked about a really good idea was putting in blueberries and raspberries because we kind of need to have some stuff that is like a little bit of low maintenance, because I'm not going to pay employees to come out here and fart around with a garden, while I'm paying them to work for me. So it needs to be something where I could come out here, like when I get here in the morning, turn the water on, do some, spend 30 minutes in the garden kind of thing, and that would be something fun for me. But it's a really big plot. I mean, it's probably at least 50 feet from there to there. Maybe it's more closer to 100 feet. And probably I would go about maybe 10 or 15 feet in. I would keep those wax myrtles. That would probably be the back border because I don't want to get too close to my neighbors there and kind of, disturb them, although they don't care on this side. You can see everybody parks over here. But this is kind of my, maybe next year thing, although we might. It just depends. There is one thought that we go ahead and kind of blitz it and cover it with wood chips and stuff and just try to start amending the soil and kind of getting it ready. But I would love to have some plants here. The eco guy, the backyard guy, really suggested trees, and I'm not against that because the trees require a lot less maintenance. But all of the trees he mentioned, like fig trees and something called a pawpaw tree, they're all fruit trees, but I've never eaten a fig, and I've sure as hell have never eaten a pawpaw, so that didn't get my interest too much. I woke up when he said blueberries and raspberries, so we'll see. I don't know that I can do like a summer vegetable garden because it's just, that would be like a daily thing to come out here and water it, especially as hot as it gets in the summer in the Carolinas. But it would be pretty freaking awesome if we had, like Shannon was saying, we could almost have like mounds. Instead of like a raised bed, you'd kind of just have a mound, almost like you'd see like a strawberry farm or something, and that's where you'd plant the stuff. So we'll see. This is kind of I don't know if you guys, if there's like a 6 month, 1 year from now update, maybe you guys will see the urban garden, but we'll see. I just think it would make the area look a lot better. My family's real big into, going to the farmer's market and eating local produce and stuff. So, sort of a scout project, the ability to grow your own food. We'll see. There's not a whole lot of wildlife here. The guy, he didn't think that with this big road we have and these other commercial buildings that there would be much wildlife coming through. I haven't seen anything on the camera. I've got a camera on the back of the building, camera on the front. I have seen one cat and I think one fox on my cameras so far. That's not too much, so I don't think we have a lot of deer here in Charlotte, but this may not be a very friendly place for the deer. So all right, well, I hope I have given you guys the full tour. I've let you see all the warts and the things that are still in progress. I might do another one of these videos in another month to kind of give you the 2-month post thing. Hopefully by then those shelves are built. Hopefully this room looks a lot better. Oh man, that would be nice. I'm just looking forward to it. So I think originally when I started moving in, I said, oh, by March, we're gonna have everything kind of ready. Well, maybe now I can say by June we'll have everything totally moved in. So anyways, thanks for coming along on this ride. Again, if you've not watched the playlist and now you might be a little curious, go back and there's a whole playlist, day 1 through 30, they're all marked. including a prologue that showed me moving in, basically touring the building right after I got the keys. So there's a whole series there you can go watch if you're at all curious about this. Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper. Definitely subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. It's all about scouting memorabilia. Would love to see your comments, and check out the videos. Thanks.